How's it going, guys? It's the Pixelated Pumpkin, and in today's video, I'll be ranking all 25 Spirit Halloween 2023 animatronics from worst to best. Coming in as the worst Spirit Halloween 2023 animatronic, we have the Collector's Minion, aka the Young Collector. This thing is so lazy, so stupid, and so dumb. I thought Spirit Halloween would have learned their lesson after Young Crouchy, but clearly not, because they went ahead and did the same exact thing again, but this time with the Collector. I know we only have this one photo, and we haven't even seen a video of what it does yet, but no matter what, this guy is getting bottom of the list for me because of how lazy this prop really is. It's just a rehash of an older prop, but shrunken down and just made so much worse overall. No matter what they do with it, it cannot be better than the original, so there's no point in it even existing in the first place. It's like a crappy sequel to a movie, in my opinion, and they're not even bothering to try to one-up the original prop here. It's just a crappy, uncreative, and super lazy rehash that we really never needed to exist.
Enter, if you dare.
Coming in second to last, we have Thrasher. Now, I really don't like this guy. I think there could have been so much more going on here, but really, it just ends up being a bad walkthrough prop. Now, we have had walkthrough props in the past that feature animation and are way more detailed and cooler than this guy, so there really is no reason to pick up this guy over one of the other ones. For one, there's no animation, like I already said. This thing could have had some animation, maybe the head would have moved, and maybe the mouth would have moved as well, but no, it literally does nothing except for the eyes lighting up, which is super lame in my opinion, and the design of this guy really isn't that great. It's supposed to be a Scarecrow, but looks more like a crappy mummy in my opinion, and not even a cool mummy. So it just ends up being a pretty bad overall designed animatronic, well, you can't even call it an animatronic, prop, and I really don't like this thing at all. Well, I know a lot of you are going to want my head on a stick for this one, but coming in the third worst spot on this list is Stilts the Clown. Listen, I'm sorry, but I really do not like this guy at all. I will give him some credit, the animation is great, and he doesn't say goofy phrases, which of course is always a positive for any clown like this, but the face on this guy is so dumb looking, and so child-friendly, and so just clean looking, I could not hate it more. It just looks so goofy with the derpy eyes, and it's just the opposite of scary in my opinion. As a great man once said, this thing is basically a Happy Meal toy, and that's not what Halloween clowns should be. They should be intentionally scary. And sure, he does have some blood on the bowling pins, but other than that, what else is going on with this guy that makes him scary at all? Literally nothing. Coming in at number 22, we have Eternal Rest. Now, initially, I actually liked this one quite a bit, but once we got the in-store videos and stuff like that, the jump scare is so lame on this one, and just does not work at all. I mean, it's just a tiny head that spins around to the other side, showing a skull face. It's really nothing special, in my opinion, and the jump scare, again, just does not work well at all. The design of the tombstone is pretty good, however, and I don't hate it. I just feel like this concept could have been way better with what they had, and it could have had a way better jump scare than this. I mean, it is truly pathetic, the jump scare on this thing. It is not scaring anybody.
It's your old pal, the Crypt Keeper.
Now, this might be another one I'm going to get some flack for putting this low on the list, but I should say that I've never seen Tales from the Crypt before, so maybe if I have, I would have a stronger connection with this one, but to be honest with you, I just don't think this is that great of a prop anyways. From what I've heard, they couldn't even get the actual voice actor of the Crypt Keeper to do this, so it ends up not even being that authentic to the actual show, and at the same time, his animation is super basic and lame as well. All he does is turn his head and his eyes move a little bit too, which is really nothing great in my opinion. I really wish he had some more lifelike motion, maybe some mouth movement, maybe even servo movement like they did with the Yoda at Home Depot this year, but this one just ends up being a super boring and basic one in my opinion. Sure, it is cool that we get to see some Tales from the Crypt representation, but again, I've never seen the show, so I really can't speak for this one. So maybe I really shouldn't be putting this one this low, but at the same time, I mean, the prop itself, regardless of the license, really isn't that great in my opinion. Coming in at number 20, we have the Cauldronous, and I'm really split on this one because the animation is super neat and the fog effects are really awesome, but the face on this one just drags it down so much. I mean, it's literally a moldy slice of pizza practically, and the eyes are super derpy on this one as well, really holding it back in my opinion a lot. I'm definitely not a fan of that face, but for the rest of the prop, it's actually pretty good in my opinion. But I really could not get past how awful the face looks on this one. If it even had a decent looking witch face, this one would be way higher on the list, but I'm sorry, I can really not get past the way this one looks at all. It's just so ugly, and not in the scary or good way.
Hello. Do you want to play with me?
Now this is going to be another controversial pick for sure, but coming in at number 19, we have Creepy Rising Doll. Now truthfully, I've never been a big fan of this one. I really never thought it was that creepy or scary at all, and the doll aspect of the prop is literally only the face. Nothing else on this prop resembles a doll in the slightest, so it really never felt like that special of a prop to me. It always felt pretty generic in my opinion, and seeing it come back really made no sense to me considering we already have another doll prop this year. But anyways, Creepy Rising Doll is not that great in my opinion. The animation's alright, the audio is very generic, and the design of it could be so much better, so not the biggest fan of this one at all. Now we're reaching the territory of the props I actually think are good and starting to like a lot. And here we have Gordo, who has grown on me so much since I initially first saw him. If you guys recall, when I first saw this guy, it made no sense as to why he was on a pillar, which I still think is his biggest flaw, but he's definitely grown on me a lot since then. I have grown more of appreciation for him. The jump scare on this one is really cool, and I love the pumpkin guts that you could see inside of him. It's a great little jump scare, and it works well. The design of Gordo is also really cool, and it is a gigantic prop in person. So it's definitely grown on me a lot, but I still am not a fan of that pillar. It doesn't really fit the whole vibe of the prop. He could have been sitting on something else for sure if they wanted to have him sitting on something and not just make him a tabletop, which they totally could have done, which I think would have been for the best, but they wanted to sell it as a life size, so I get it, whatever. But he definitely could have been sitting on something else other than that pillar, which would have went with the prop a little bit better. But anyways, I still think Gordo is a pretty decent prop and definitely a cool little pumpkin. Coming in at 17, we have Scary Sitting Scarecrow. Now, of course, this is a remaster of the original Sitting Scarecrow, this time with a much more detailed face, which honestly, I like more. And this is a great little prop. It's only $110, which you cannot go wrong with that, and I think it looks great as well. I really like the improved face here. Definitely adds a lot more to the prop, and it's not so generic anymore. And I still think it has a fantastic jump scare, of course. There really isn't too much else to say about this one. It's gonna be a classic, I'm sure, just like the original Sitting Scarecrow, so there you go. Coming in at 16, we have Little Jack Carver, which I think is a pretty solid jump scare prop for sure. Now, I have a few problems with this one. For one, why are his hands and feet made of hay? He's not supposed to be a scarecrow. I wish they just gave him little hand and feet molds that they could have used instead of the hay. It really doesn't look too good in my opinion. And the face on this guy. Now, I like the pumpkin face for sure, but the what's underneath is not too scary in my opinion. I like it, but it could be a lot more gory and gross. I feel like that's what it should have been if it was a jump scare, to scare you with something truly much more scary underneath the pumpkin. I think it would have been cool if it was like a rotting head, like he had a bunch of worms and stuff coming out of his head, because I mean, the pumpkin could be rotting as well inside, you know? It would just make more sense. So I'm not the biggest fan of the face on this guy, but again, I still think at the end of the day, it's a solid little jump scare prop for sure. Coming in at number 15, we have Slim from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Now, I love the movie a lot. It's a great little cheesy horror movie for sure. This prop is only okay in my opinion. I do like the face and I do like the mouth movement a lot, but for the rest of the animation and the design of the prop, it could have been improved on a lot. I'm really not a big fan of the big popcorn bag he's holding. I really wish he had one of those cotton candy ray guns instead. I feel like that would have fit the prop better, and the way he leans over, the animation is pretty lackluster and lacking here. He could have done something more. Again, the mouth movement is cool, but for the rest of it, it's just really not that great in my opinion. I still love the design of him, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I feel like Shorty was honestly a better prop than this right here. Coming in at number 14, we have Dagger Mike. Now, I know a lot of you guys expect me to hate this thing, and to be honest, I really don't. I actually think this is a great little prop, and it's not that little either. The jump scare is going to be really effective because of how big the prop is in person, and I just like the design of him as well. It's a very strange looking clown. It's not quite a monster clown, and it's not quite a human clown either. It's just a great blend between the two, and it's not the most gory clown in the world, of course. I really wish it did have some blood on it, but no matter what, I still think Dagger Mike is a decent enough looking clown prop, and especially for what it is, it works well. The voice is fine on it. I think it looks creepy enough. Again, I like the face on this guy a lot, and it's, again, bigger than you would expect, so the jump scare is going to be pretty effective here. Overall, I think it has some cool animation, and it's just cool looking as well. Coming in at lucky number 13, we have Hellspawn, which is our first reskin of Mr. Dark, and a pretty cool one at that. Of course, it's just a classic red devil demon type looking character, and I like that a lot. It's very classic, and it works well here too. But that being said, I don't think this guy tops the original Mr. Dark. I still think the original's better, and for that reason, this guy's getting put down here because, in my opinion, I think the original is just the better alternative to this guy. But that's not to say I don't think Hellspawn is cool. In fact, I think he's very cool. I really like the animation, of course, which is derivative of Mr. Dark, but the one thing I don't like here is the audio. Get out of my graveyard is such a stupid thing for something like this to say. It should say welcome to hell or something like that, because it's a demon. It should be a hell related prop, not a graveyard related prop. So the audio doesn't make any sense to me here. But other than that, I still think Hellspawn is such a cool character, but just not as good as the original. At number 12, we have Demonica, which is another prop I initially did not like that much, but has since grown on me a lot, and ended up being a great prop in my opinion. The jump scare on this guy is super fast and super violent, and the mechanism is super loud as well, so it's sure to startle a lot of people. I just think overall it looks better than I initially let on, especially in person. He is not a bad looking prop at all. I just still don't really like the log he's on too much, and also the feet on Demonica himself kind of look goofy, but other than that, I still think it is a great prop, especially with the jump scare. The audio is great, and I think the design of his face is really good too. I really like this one because of how unique it is. We really haven't had a bat prop like this yet, and it's just cool to see a character like this. Hopefully we get a whole life-size standing character bat that's like this, like a bat monster or a werebat. I really want to see that in the future. But Demonica for now is a perfect little bat monster character, and I really like the uniqueness and the jump scare, of course. At number 11, we have Pretty Woman Leatherface, which is, of course, one of 3 Leatherface animatronics this year, and the one I think that is the second best. But that's not to say this one is not awesome in its own right, because it certainly is. I really like how this one changes it up by having the other costume that Leatherface wears in the movie, so it's more unique in that, right? It's not just, you know, your standard looking Leatherface, so it's cool that it changes it up and a little bit, and making it maybe a little bit more niche to people who've seen the movie. And I also think it's really cool how the chainsaw blade spins on this one, which is just so awesome. But other than that, I really don't have too much else to say. I think the animation with the rocking motion, or the kind of the Mr. Punchy-esque animation, really is not that fitting, but it could have been a lot worse in my opinion. And I don't know, I just think the Party City one ends up beating this one by a little bit here for sure. It's not to say that this one isn't cool though, because it certainly is. Breaking into the top 10, we have Heckles the Clown, which I think is an overall fantastic and very creepy clown. I love the projection face in the balloon here. That is such an awesome detail and super unique. And I think the face on Heckles himself looks awesome. It's very, very well detailed and very, very well sculpted. So overall, I think Heckles is a great clown, and I've definitely gotten over the zestiness of his voice. I just think he's a very realistic looking clown overall, which I really, really like. It's just a super unique and actually surprisingly creepy clown for what he is. And I'm really hoping he isn't totally recalled for the entire year, because that would suck. I'm really hoping to see him in person once he returns to stores this year, so I'll be looking forward to that for sure. And again, what a creepy clown.
Beware, you.
At number 9, we have yet another returning prop, and to be honest with you, Grave Watcher might be one of the best 3-foot props of all time. It is super creepy, super unique, and just an overall awesome 3-foot prop with some great animation and an even better design. I really like this thing, and I'm super happy it returned because this honestly was one that I kind of felt got forgotten to time a little bit, but it's so cool to see her back in action, and it's just a really cool prop, and I'm super stoked they put it in stores this year, because typically they don't put returning props in stores that often, especially as of recently, but it is cool to see this one coming back in stores because it fits the theme perfectly, and I feel like a graveyard would not be complete without this one. So overall, this one is a fantastic and very creepy little 3-foot prop. Next up at number 8, we have yet another returning prop, being Demonica from Techie Toys. Now, this one hasn't been officially announced as returning yet, but there is a listing for it on Spirit Halloween's website, so it is coming back as an online only this year, which I think is awesome, because this is such a fantastic prop in my opinion. I love the animation on it, I love the design of it, and it's just really creepy looking for sure. Now, Demonica is of course one of 3 in this kind of line that Techie Toys did back in the day. There was the Howler, and I forget the other one's name, but it's really cool to see Demonica coming back because she was definitely the most popular out of the lot of them, and I feel like she's the one that everyone wanted to come back the most if they did bring them back, which is really cool. So I'm really excited to see Demonica come back because, again, she's just such an awesome and scary animatronic, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how they updated her this year. At number 7, we have the Martian Warrior, which is such an awesome prop to see. Finally, a full-size alien. I'm so happy about that. I love aliens, and we really don't see enough of them, and this guy is a perfect example of how awesome they can be. And it's so cool to see that they're bringing the Mars Attacks license into stores this year. Such an obscure movie. I mean, it's not that obscure, but I know it's not based off the movie, it's off the cards, which again, in my opinion, is even better. And anyways, this guy is just so cool. My only problems with it's that it really does not have enough animation. I wish he moved his body from side to side, because that way he could be aiming the gun in front of him and he could, be spraying the mist on everybody standing in front of him, but he kind of just stays still and he has the head movement, which is pretty lackluster in my opinion. It could have definitely used some more animation, but the positives definitely outweigh my gripes here, because it is just such a cool designed prop. I love the look of it so much, and it's so cool to have an alien that looks like this. I love it. Well, I bet none of you saw this coming, but me placing a clown this high on the list is crazy. But anyways, at number 6 we have Poor George, which is definitely my favorite clown of the year, and overall a fantastic animatronic. I know I'm not the biggest fan of clowns, as I have said so many times, and this list definitely reflects that, but this year I feel like they did a really good job overall with the clowns, and Poor George is my favorite one for sure. The reason why I like this guy so much is because the overall uniqueness of the prop. It's just a really special clown in my opinion, and it works really well with both being scary and a little bit goofy at the same time, but in a good way, and I think it works overall really well. For one, the animation is awesome. I love how he spins around and you get to see both sides of his, which both are fantastic and definitely scary looking, like how you could see where he was ripped in half as well. That is really cool. It's great at showing off the prop, and again, the two-face thing works so well here, especially in tandem with the animation. It just makes one great package. And his general size is way bigger than you'd expect it to be. I know he's not a tall prop, but just his general size is just way bigger than you'd expect it to be, and it just feels like a really big prop in person for sure. Overall, Poor George is a fantastic clown animatronic and easily my favorite of the 2023 season in terms of the clowns. Breaking into the top 5, we have Howling Spirit, which is a fantastic sheet ghost animatronic, and for sure one of the best sheet ghosts we've had in a very long time. This guy is so cool because of his floating effect, as well as the lighting, and just the design of him is really good as well. I love that floating effect he has. It actually looks like he's flying in the air, which is so cool. And the face on this guy, even though it's cartoony, I actually love it a lot because it just feels like that classic Halloween that I love so much in props in general and stuff like that. The classic Halloween props are really good, and this guy is a great example of how awesome they are. I think the animation here also works pretty well. It's simple, but it works nicely, and it just looks good on the prop overall. So overall, Howling Ghost is a fantastic sheet ghost animatronic. At number 4, we probably have the fan favorite of the year being Emmeline, which I think is a fantastic jump scare prop, probably one of the most intense jump scares of all time from Spirit Halloween. Which the animation here is nothing short of impeccable. I mean, that thing is lurching at you from over 5 to 6 feet away, and it's just coming at you so fast as well, which is so awesome. I mean, the jump scare here is incredible, but it does take up a lot of space, and you're going to have to make sure that this guy isn't going to fly into anybody for sure, because it's just so crazy, the jump scare. But overall, it's definitely one of the most scary and intense for sure, and definitely probably the most effective, I have to say. As for Emmeline herself, I think it's designed quite nicely. Of course, it rides the line of being a sheet ghost or just a normal ghost monster, and it looks cool. I think the face here is pretty nice and creepy as well, and I just think for the rest of it, it's pretty basic looking, but it's still cool, don't get me wrong. I can't say I'm as blown away with this one as when I first saw Mr. Dark, because I feel like this has kind of been done already. Even though it hasn't been done quite like this before, I feel like Mr. Dark really set the staple, so I'm not as impressed here, but I still think it is phenomenal. Do not get me wrong, people. This isn't a fantastic animatronic, but it's just not my favorite of the year, but it sure is awesome. Coming in at number 3, we have Death Stalker, and what a strange and awesome looking monster here. I love the weird and wacky stuff that Spirit Halloween gives us, like the monsters that you would have never thought existed beforehand, and this is definitely a prime example of that for sure. It's just a monster straight out of your own imagination and nightmares, and I love that about it so much. It is just such a weird looking monster slash creature, and it's just fantastic. The design of it is awesome. Those massive teeth and that gigantic mouth is so cool, and those massive hands as well are awesome. The cloak he has on makes this prop even more strange, because now it's a mix of aquatic, sci-fi, and gothic at the same time. It's a very, very weird mix of stuff, but it just looks so cool. The fog effect as well is phenomenal here. I love how he's blowing all that fog straight out of his enormous mouth, which just looks so, so awesome. Overall, Death Stalker has to be one of the most unique and strange creations Spirit Halloween has ever given us, but I could not love it more than I already do for that reason alone. It's just so awesome and so scary. And the second best Spirit Halloween 2023 animatronic is the other fan favorite of the year, being Darling Dolly, and what an awesome and scary prop this one is. It is super creative, with it being this giant doll monster with these tree-like hands, which are just so crazy looking, and it's just so demonic and monstrous. I could not love it enough. I seriously think this is probably the best doll animatronic ever made. Even professional props are going to have a hard time reaching this one right here, just because of how scary it looks. I mean, the jump scare on it is phenomenal as well. The only problem I have with her is that the face could definitely be a lot better in my opinion, but I still think it looks creepy enough, and it definitely gets the job done for sure. Overall, Darling Dolly is just an epic animatronic. There's really no other way to put it. Just the awesomeness and scariness that this prop has is just insane, and it's just such a crazy and monstrous prop. I love it. And the number one best Spirit Halloween 2023 animatronic is...
Don't be afraid. Your time has come. Join me now and forever. We will own the nights.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite, and in my opinion, the best Spirit Halloween animatronic of the year is the Black Heart. Now, this one is the best Reaper animatronic of all time, in my opinion, for many, many reasons. It is just so scary and so detailed. It is just a phenomenal animatronic all around. Starting with the animation, I think it is awesome, and I love how he uses it to reveal the dead woman he is holding, which is so cool. The mouth movement here is also cool, and he also raises his head as he opens up his arms, which is great. The dead woman is fantastic as well. For the detail on her, it looks so realistic and disturbing. I love it so much, and I was so caught off guard when I saw this prop, because Spirit Halloween I feel like would never do something like this, especially put it in stores, but they definitely went off with this one, and they just went all out to make this a very scary animatronic, which they did so well here. I also love the Reaper's face. There's something about it that makes it look very different from a lot of other basic skeleton faces. There's just something more sinister and creepy about it, which I love a lot. And just overall, it is such a fantastic animatronic. The voice is awesome, the phrases are awesome, and I just love it all around so much. What an incredible Reaper animatronic. This is the perfect Grim Reaper in my opinion. And with that, I am finally done ranking all the Spirit Halloween 2023 animatronics from worst to best, and thank you so much for watching if you stuck around to this point. It really means a lot to me, and I appreciate that you guys are enjoying my videos for sure. Please like and subscribe to show the support of the channel, because this video took me forever to make, and I would really appreciate the extra support there. Be sure to comment letting me know your rankings of the Spirit Halloween 2023 animatronics, or at least your top 5s. I'd really appreciate to see those. And with that, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and remember, nobody outpixelates the pumpkin.